Hello everyone, my name is Crimson and welcome back to some other video I'm doing today. Actually, this one's going to be a little bit different. I am going to be talking about my plans for this year. I've been thinking about this for the past couple months, but what I've wanted to do is I've wanted to make one video game. One game that I would focus on all throughout the year. That has changed to being two different games so that they can both be a little bit smaller, but still be things that will work with my mental health, because working on one super dark project all year long, not a good idea. So I also want to try and do kind of like a video documentary thingy from behind the scenes as I'm making these. So if you're not interested in any of the meta content or the stuff that our human host has to do to make these games and these stories for you lovely, fine human beings and other eldritch horrors to enjoy, you might want to leave now. If you are interested in behind the scenes content, things that are all subject to change as of right now, but interesting ideas to focus on, then this is the place for you. You're still here? Good. Alright, so to start with, the first game I'm going to be talking about is what is kind of the main primary focus. It's the main one that I've wanted to tell for a long time and just couldn't. It's going to be a story set in the Fyra universe. I know you probably have no idea what that is. I've only ever released like one story, maybe one or two short stories, and one video game about it, all of which are all pretty old, so you're going to need a refresher. So the Fyra universe is a unique one. It's the first story I ever made when I was a kid. I like to tell the story that when I was about 12, I was playing a game with my friend, and he basically said, let's play superheroes. At the time, I was like, oh, cool, you mean like, Spider-Man and X-Men and Wolverine and Captain America and all that jazz? And then he was like, no, we're gonna make up our own superheroes to play as. And that concept, at that time, that I could just make up my own superhero just blew my mind. And I still gotta thank them to this day. You know who you are if you're listening to this, which probably isn't, but, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. If it wasn't for you showing me I could create things, I don't know when I would have started, or if I even would have started. Now, I started making characters at that moment in the Fyra universe. The first one would have been the character named Dreamer, who, if you have followed my content, you're probably more familiar with Dreamer, as they have undergone some changes, but they have eventually become the character known as Lunaria. Next to that, Lord Fyra was eventually made, and I made an entire universe, mythos, origin story, and retold this one story many, many times, so I've got a good handle on how it works and who the characters are. This will help out a lot. Now, what I've also realized is when it comes to the Fyra universe, the last couple times I've attempted to do big, in-depth stories for it, I have not been able to successfully pull it off if Lamont, aka the host of Lord Fyra, was the main character. If they were the main character, the story would usually kind of peter out and die. But if it was someone else who's the main character and Lamont was a side character, even if they're a really important big one, it works a lot better. And I think it's because Lamont and Fyra were designed to be like the shadow to my friend's Sonic the Hedgehog. As is to say, they were playing the good super heroic character, and I was playing the edgy, anti-hero, angsty teenager. So it doesn't really work so well when Lamont is the main character. It can work, but it's just a lot harder for me to pull off. Not to mention I have literally retold this entire story like 12 times. Unfortunately, none of that's published, or maybe fortunate, it would be just an eyesore for anyone to have to go through. But I might show some notes and chronicle the history of it here on YouTube for prosperity's sake. So the story involving Lord Fyra and Lamont, it's actually going to star the character Rosemary, who is in the Harbinger family. She is the second oldest child. She is the big sister to Lamont, but not the oldest sibling. She is going to be going on a story that I have loosely termed Yandere Saves the Universe. It's going to have some inspirations, though not necessarily a whole lot, from all the failed Yandere dev projects out there, but with a lot of unique twists to it that are uniquely mine. In addition, it's also going to get pretty dark from the word go. It's not going to be a happy story immediately. There will be happiness, there will be comedy, it'll come, and we'll see what the ending is. I'm not going to give that away until I actually start really digging into it, but it is going to involve the Fyra universe. It's going to involve the Mother Goose universe, Mother Goose Entertainment. If you have kept up with my Mother Goose stuff, then I say welcome all ye old perverts. This is gonna get weird. But this is going to be a unique concept and series for me to work on. I'm really excited to be working on this all year. Don't know how long it's gonna be. I want to get to 100,000 words. If this ends up being very story focused, if this is more gameplay focused, it can be less. But I want to have like a minimum 8 to 10 hour long gameplay for it. You know, like an actual sized game. Now, the second project, which I have been working on this idea for a while, and it's going to be 2 parts. I don't know what parts will be released this year. Maybe both. We'll see. But it will be 2 parts. It's going to be the Pajama Universe. The first story I want to work on and release is it's probably going to be Pajama Harem, which is a sort of side story that will be important later, but not for the context of the big projects for this year. The first story I'm going to work on that's going to be the big project for this year is going to be the Pajama Universe prequel. Right now I'm calling it Underhome. There will be some probably less than creative inspirations from Undertale and Homestuck. We'll see. I'm trying to make it creative. I'm not good at that. You'll see some art on the screen that is of the characters here as I'm talking about these things. And what I want to do is I want to make the story that shows where the Pajama Universe kind of originates from. Not its 100% origin story, because that's meaningless. But more of like the story of the 4 guardian humans that went from Earth to the Pajama Universe, the Dreamosphere, and helped fix the population issues there, because there's a population crisis before humans were involved, as well as fixes the initial outbreak of nightmares. Now, obviously, nightmares still exist, as you see in Pajama Overlord, but this is the first big encounter where they will realize it's a threat. Now, as for characters, so far I'm going to put Rita in there. I think this is a good way to show what Rita's been up to during the whole 3rd iteration thing, because she's been mostly missing, coined as the Mother of Creation, and we'll get into why that is in the story we're going to tell. But I also want to put in Eddie, who's the second character. Totally not a ripoff of like 3 other characters that you might recognize in their design. If you recognize it, you're wrong. It's totally unique, original character. Do not steal. Yeah. Now, with both these projects, there's a lot to be said. Where the Fyra story is going to cover the Mother Goose Entertainment, its biological nastiness, where it just takes bits and pieces of dead people and shoves them into machines and makes new monsters that are pets for entertainment and other pleasures. It's going to be kind of dark and messed up. If you're not a fan of that, you're not going to like it, but you will probably like the Dreamoverse, even if it's going to be a little pervy. It's much more lighthearted and fun and jovial. But the Fyra Universe one, the Fyra Rebirth, as I'm calling it, is going to be kind of dark. But that's fine. Sometimes you need a little darkness in your system, right? Can't be all lightness and happiness all the times, otherwise it would just be boring. Now, all the things I'm saying here, and probably for the first 3 or 4 months of development, might be subject to change, because it's still early on. I've literally only started both of these within the past couple days, realistically, and I'm still working on where the stories will go, how the gameplay works out, what will have gameplay, what won't have gameplay. I do want both to have some form of gameplay, lots of choices and things you can do, but not necessarily have to be reliant on the game itself to convey the story. I do want more story-driven visual novel experiences from these two. But everything I say here is subject to change, but I think I got a good foundation. I know where I'm going with these. We'll see what happens. You might be wondering, why am I making 2 games instead of 1? Isn't 1 hard enough? And I would say, have you looked at my discography of games and novels and fan fictions? I don't do one thing at a time very well. I usually work on about 2 projects. I call them the A project and the B project, and I can switch between them when I'm not so into one at the time. But I need to have 2 projects for my brain to fluctuate between them. It can sometimes lead to burnout when I do too much, but hey, it's not like I'm only writing these 2 this year. I'm writing these 2, and I'm going to be working on releasing a lot of other games as well. It's just, these are the 2 big ones that I want to focus on all year, to really put 100% of my effort into them. I don't know what that looks like yet, but it's my big goal. And additionally, there are other games I'm going to release. One that's inspired by an old comic that is completely missing, that no one knows of, called The Adventures of Rick Legends Maelstrom. Legacy Maelstrom. Great comic, but the creator took his down, so I'm making my own version and putting it up so that people can enjoy it, and hopefully it will be good. And maybe the creator will see it and be like, hey, people liked my comic, I'll put it back online so that people can enjoy it. And at that time, I will download every single picture and then never delete them again because I lost that flash drive and I regret it for the rest of my life. God. I'll have to make a whole video on the Legacy of Maelstrom thing eventually. Maybe I'll do a behind the scenes video on the thing I made, because in all honesty, that was a huge part of my life growing up, and the fact that the creator just refuses to put it back online, they took it down because of not feeling satisfied with it, which I understand. You don't feel satisfied with your old work, you do not take it down, and you do not say, I will put it back up when I remake the whole thing, because you know what happens to webcomics when you do that? You don't remake the whole thing. You start, you get a couple pages in, you stop, and then you quit. And this is the problem that happened with Tells Gets Trolled and many other webcomics, and it's why I don't go in and remake shit from the ground up. I know this is becoming a little bit of a rant, but it's not out of malice. It is out of love. I love the Rick's Adventures comic. It's just, I can't read it now. The creator took it down, and that has left me heartbroken. And if anyone has any backups or archival of even one page of the comic, please comment. I need it. I need it bad. It's like a drug, and I can't get my fix because the creator took it away from me. But I'll make my own thing, and I'll release it. And I don't know. It was a really fun thing to make and write. Like, a whole lot of fun to write. But maybe I'll be able to at least show people what it was that I loved about that comic. So, that's something that's planned to be released hopefully soon. The Rick's Adventures one, it is fully written. I just need to go in and edit it, revise it a little bit, make sure it's all spruced up as good as I can do, because I'm a piece of shit. And then do some art that is halfway decent and not absolute garbage. And then, I also have the Pajama Harem story that's going to come out, because that needs to come out before I release a full version of the Pajama origin story. And then I have the Fyra Rebirth I'm working on. Now, none of these are going to be erotica. There's not an NSFW project in this lineup. There are NFSW projects that I will work on, of course, because Strawberry Jam is coming down the road. We'll see. Maybe I'll rewrite something for that or just make something new, but we'll see what I do for Strawberry Jam. I have good feelings about it. And maybe the Summer of Smut Jam will come back and revitalize a couple things. That would be cool. But all in all, I just wanted to start this off as it's the new year, and I have really big goals, but unlike my goals from last year or the year before that or the year before that, these art goals are more manageable. I think it was 2021 where my art goal was to write 1 million words in 1 year. I did it. I crushed that goal with like 1,300,000 words. I never want to do that again. I think that killed my creative soul. It crushed it. But I did it. So, I may not be good at quality, but I am good at quantity. And, sometimes people just don't have the attention span to keep working on things. I got ADHD like crazy. So I just gotta put things out when I got them out, and then people can hopefully enjoy them and whatevers, and we'll see what happens. I have no idea if there's any music or anything playing right now. Maybe I spliced in some video game footage. Wouldn't that be smart? Well, it would be smart. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching, and look forward to this year, because I do plan on making more of these sort of behind-the-scenes documentary styled commentary developer thingies, because I'm a big fan of developer commentaries during the process of making a game. I just don't see that very often anymore. I think the last time I really saw it was the Tale of Two Brothers game, which was weird because it was literally just a let's play with the creator talking about it, but it existed, and I haven't really seen it since then, but it's something I think is a really cool idea. Then I can link these videos inside the game, and then people can watch these if they want to get developer commentary, or maybe I'll just find a way to put stuff inside the game too. Developer commentary is hard, okay? Anyway, I just want to say thank you again for watching. Hope y'all have a wonderful new year, and as always, adios.